This month, we are celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and today we're highlighting Mayor Arunan Arulampalam, who broke racial barriers and made history in Hartford. Fox 61's Kayla Cade had the chance to sit down with him and talk about his journey and how he's keeping his culture alive.
Mayor Arunan Arulampalam remembers telling his parents he wanted to run for office one day, but they weren't sure if people would vote for someone with his last name. But he didn't give up and later won the majority vote in the Hartford mayoral election in 2023.
At City Hall, there is a proud history of Hartford leaders that hang on these walls.
There was one type of depiction, representation of what a mayor looked like in the city for such a long time.
And in the 68th spot, the most recent addition, is someone who looks a bit different than the others.
Thank you.
Mayor Arunan Arulampalam, of Sri Lankan descent, the first South Asian to hold the position.
It's a reminder, a really visual reminder to me each day of how quickly change has happened in our country and how much progress we've made in really a relatively short period of time.
His parents, who were engaged, made a home in Sri Lanka until it became unsafe to stay.
They're part of an ethnic minority there, and there was a really brutal and bloody civil war. They both fled Sri Lanka at different times.
They found each other again, more than 5,000 miles away in England where they got married. But their journey was just beginning.
They couldn't stay there, and so they moved to Zimbabwe in Africa, and they had me, and I was a little baby, and they were trying to figure out their pathway.
After another long journey, the States became their forever home.
My uncle convinced my mom to apply for a job as a teacher. She got a job with some help, and they started their immigration journey here and started to eke out a life here. We had my little sister, and that family of four was really tight-knit. There's a lot of love and a lot of care, and also a lot of adjustment to building a life in this new country and to feeling isolated from that culture.
When he got to college in Atlanta, he met his now wife, Liza. After they both graduated, the couple moved to her hometown, Hartford, and planted their roots in Frog Hollow.
I love you.
5 kids later, he makes sure to keep his culture alive.
And they all have Sri Lankan names, and it was important to me to carry on that heritage. I try my best to cook the food that my mom cooked every now and then.
And even in his role as mayor,
there are values around seeing the light in each of your resident, fellow community members, seeing the good in people, even in the midst of bad. And a lot of that, I think, came from my parents and what they gave me.
But getting into this position wasn't easy.
I think that there were a lot of people who underestimated me at various points in my journey.
From being accused of being an affirmative action case in law school,
I think that it is very common for individuals of color who are trying to make their way in the world to be underestimated and to have to work a lot harder to prove themselves.
To running for the mayor's office. He says he was told by other elected officials that no one would vote for anybody with his last name.
And I said, well, tonight a few thousand people voted for somebody with the last name Arulampalam, and I'm going to be the next mayor of the capital city in Connecticut. And it was a real point of pride for them.
He holds his title with pride and knows it inspires other people like him and gives them hope that they too can make it big one day.
I talk to young kids in our schools and they can see themselves in their mayor. When I talk to families and they feel like they can relate to their mayor, to me that means a lot. And it means that the work that I'm doing matters to my residents.
Arulampalam makes sure that as mayor, there is always a platform to send a message.
You're valued, you're loved, we care about you. And sometimes it might not feel that way. Sometimes you might feel like you have to fight for a place at the table, but keep fighting.
Mayor Arulampalam says he hopes kids are seeing how diverse the world is and that their voice and talent matters. To read more about his story, visit fox61.com. In Hartford, Kayla Cade, Fox 61.